Hi everyone, this is Lisa Smith with Life by Design coming at you again from my office. And what I want to do today is I want to teach you a technique called EFT, or Emotional Freedom Technique. It's also known as meridian tapping or needleless acupuncture. No matter what you call it, this tool is really powerful, and I integrate it into all my sessions with my clients. I teach all my clients how to use this technique because it is so simple, at least the basic formula for it. It's very effective. It can help you right in the moment when you're experiencing some negative feelings or emotions or pattern that you don't want to be feeling. And it can also work for long-term chronic types of patterns or emotions or memories, traumas, etc., to help to alleviate them and actually remove them from what's called the energy system of your body, because we have emotions and emotions actually get locked in this part of our system. It's called the energy system, and it affects our mood, affects our thoughts, it affects the habits that we develop, and it affects even our physical bodies. So a lot of illness and disease and physical maladies can be directly linked to a disruption of the energy system of the body, and can also be minimized or alleviated through using an energy tool such as EFT. I'll have some more videos explaining more about what EFT is about and how it works in energy, the energy field. But today I just want to teach you the basic EFT technique. And there's a lot of different techniques out there for using EFT. I'm going to teach you the very basic, simple one today, which often will create good to great results just by using this technique. And of course, there's some advanced techniques, and I'll be creating some videos to teach you those as well over time. So let's just start with the basic technique. The first thing to understand is that this technique involves saying certain statements to help you to focus on whatever the issue or problem is, and tapping on certain parts of the body, hand, head and face, and torso, while saying these statements. And by doing so, we essentially affect the energy that is related to the problem, the issue that we're trying to influence. And so by doing the tapping and making the statements, we help to zero in on the channel of that energy, because we've got all these channels of energy with all these different memories and emotions running around all around us, just like radio waves are around us. We don't see them, but they're there anyway. We may not understand how they work, but they're there anyway. We don't have to believe in them, but they're still there anyway and affecting us. So what we're doing is, like with a radio, we're able to tap into the signal and tune into it and increase it or decrease it like we do volume on a radio, or even turn it off if we so choose. And so by doing these statements, as we're doing the tapping, we help to make sure that we're tuning into the right channel, the channel of what we're trying to have an influence over. Now, before you actually begin with the EFT, what you want to do is focus in on the particular thing that you're trying to have an influence over. So it could be something going on in your body, some kind of sensation, pain, for example, or maybe nausea that you're having in your body, maybe a headache. Or you can use a particular emotion that you're having at this moment, such as, for example, you're angry at somebody, or you're feeling really frustrated, or you're really overwhelmed. And try and give it a rating on a 0 to 10 scale. And the reason why we do that is because we want to be able to have something that's measurable. Even though it is subjective, it's your scale, but you give it that number on that 0 to 10 scale to rate the intensity of the feeling, the physical feeling or the emotional feeling that you're going to be tapping on. So on a scale of 0 to 10, ask yourself, how strong does this feel? 10 is the highest level and 0 is nothing. So for example, if we're focusing on something like a feeling of anger, how angry do you feel on that 0 to 10 scale? So give it a number, your own number. Remember, it's subjective. Now, sometimes people say, oh, it's an 11, it's a 12. That's fine. Go ahead, give it that rating. Absolutely fine. But the goal is for us to move down that scale of intensity and actually get to a 0. So once you've given your feeling a rating, you really want to clarify what this feeling is. And so think about what's the feeling and what's the issue creating the feeling, okay, or the location if you're talking about a physical feeling. So you want to get as specific as possible, and I'll go into that a little bit more in detail, why that's so important in future films. But for right now, again, just try and get as specific as possible. If you're dealing with an emotion, maybe it's anger, what's surrounding the anger? What sort of triggered the anger? Where is the anger directed? For example, maybe it's directed at a certain person, or a certain person triggered it for you. Remember, they didn't make you angry. You made yourself angry, but there was something that happened that triggered that in you, and that person was that trigger. So maybe it's, I'm really angry at John. But again, you can be even more specific. Why are you angry at John? I'm really angry at John because he didn't show up on time, and then we were late for the movie, etc. But clarify it a little bit. I'm really angry at John because he was late. Or I'm really angry at John because he was late again and he's always late. So clarify it the way that works best for you. Don't make it too long, but again, try and be as specific as possible. So once you've clarified what the issue is and the feeling, then you're going to start with the tapping process. The tapping always starts at what we call the karate chop point here on the side of your hand. Doesn't matter whether you go to the right hand or to the left hand. Some people even do dual tapping. So you're tapping both points at the same time if there are points that run unilaterally through or bilaterally through the body. But for purposes today, again, of the simple film, we're just going to start with one hand. So you're going to be tapping on the side of the hand while saying this statement. Even though blank, and you're going to fill in the blank with what is the emotion and the issue. Even though I'm really angry at John right now for being late, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Now, there's many variations of this second part of it. I deeply and completely forgive, love, and accept myself. I truly and deeply love and accept myself. You can add anyway on the end of it. Okay, but again, basic, even though blank, issue and emotion, I deeply and completely forgive, love, and accept myself. And you do that 3 times. Say that statement 3 times while continuing to tap on the karate chop point. Even though I'm really angry at John because he was late, I deeply and completely forgive, love, and accept myself. Even though I'm really angry at John at a level of an 8, so you can even bring in the number that you gave it before you started the tapping, I deeply and completely forgive, love, and accept myself. Even though I'm angry at John for being late, I deeply and completely forgive, love, and accept myself. Once you do that statement 3 times, you're going to go up to the top of the head. And you're going to tap about 7 to 10 times in each of the points as I go through them, while saying a short reminder statement about what the issue and the feeling is. So it could just be this anger, or this anger at John. And then you're going to go to the inside of the eye, basically where the top of your nose is and the beginning of your eyebrow. So you're going to tap here, this anger at John. Then you're going to go to the side of the eye, the temple point, not touching your eye, but closer to the hairline. This anger at John. Under the eye, this anger at John. And then you're going to go under the nose. Again, tap about 7 to 10 times as you say the reminder statement, this anger at John. Or you could say something like, I'm angry at John. Chin, I'm angry at John. Then you're going to go to collarbone point. And I'm staying on the same side of the body that I began tapping on. So I was tapping around the right eye because I started on the right hand. And I'm going to the collarbone point. So I'm actually going to change hands at this point. So the collarbone point, if you feel your collarbone here, okay, and there's a little V where it comes together. Okay, so you're going to go out from that V and down just underneath the bone. Okay. So I'm going to tap here. I'm angry at John. Then you're going to go to the underarm point, right around here. For women, it's easier to find. It's right about where your bra strap is. For men, it's probably about 4 inches down from your armpit. This anger at John. Then you're going to go to the wrist point. I do the wrist point. You might see some other videos of people doing tapping and they don't do the wrist point. I learned about the wrist point, and there's something about the wrist point that just resonates with me, so I like doing the wrist point for myself and also with my clients. This anger at John. And then finally you start at the top of the head, or you end at the top of the head again. This anger at John. Now again, some practitioners will just start at the eyebrow point and end at the head. I like to do a full cycle. So I start at the top of the head, I go through the other points, I end at the top of the head. Okay, so once you tap here, this anger at John, then stop the tapping and take a deep breath and let it out. This helps to release the energy that you were shifting as you were doing the tapping. Now go to the emotional scale again. Tune into that feeling of anger. And now, on that scale of 0 to 10, how intense does that anger feel? You should notice that it's come down at least a couple of points. Sometimes it'll go up a couple of points, very beginning. Doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong or the EFT is not working. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. But just keep tapping. So once you've done a full round, check in with the rating again. If it's not at a 0, then you do the same thing. You just repeat the pattern again, starting at the karate chop point. And this time, say, even though I still have some anger at John, and you can even state the number, even though I'm still at a 6 with this anger at John, I deeply and completely forgive, love, and accept myself. Even though I'm at a 6 with this anger at John, I deeply and completely forgive, love, and accept myself. Even though I'm still angry at John at a level of a 6, I deeply and completely forgive, love, and accept myself. This remaining anger with John. This remaining anger with John. This remaining anger with John. This remaining anger at 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 John. Right here, where are your wrist bends? This remaining anger at John. And once again, go ahead and check in with your feeling of anger, whatever that feeling was. Rate it on that scale of 0 to 10. Again, you should find that you've come down at least another point or 2. Sometimes it happens much more quickly. Again, if you're not at a 0 yet, continue with the rounds. Patience and persistence is important with EFT. As long as you're continuing to find that those numbers are decreasing, keep doing it till you get to a 0. Don't give up too early. Don't say, well, I'm at a 2. I'm okay with that now. You really want to try and get it down to a 0. And again, I will explain more about that in future videos. So that's how to do the basic EFT tapping. Go ahead and test it out. There's a lot of things that you can use it with. It's virtually limitless. So go ahead, try it on everything that you can think of, and let me know how you do.